Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. Now, a day after the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that there was no hard evidence proof backing the serious allegations leveled against India with regards to the killing of the Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, leader of the People's Party of Canada, Maxime Bernier, has called a spade a spade. He has made it abundantly clear that Justin Trudeau has deteriorated diplomatic ties with a rising world power in the process of shielding a foreign terrorist. He has further asserted that Hardeep Singh Nijjar's citizenship should have been revoked posthumously. Well, the question that arises is, what will Justin Trudeau do? Will he continue to pander to the Khalistani nexus in Canada, or will he finally own up? Let's start off our conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Ambassador Basuti Mukherjee. Let's hear it from you, Ambassador. When a leader of a prominent opposition political party in Canada comes out and states that Hardeep Singh Nijjar was a terrorist, does this amplify the voice of Canadian citizens who have an opinion opposed to what Justin Trudeau in his testimony before the Foreign Interference Commission said?
Definitely, Megha. In the public polls in Canada, Trudeau is currently trailing 22 points behind Maxime Bernier, and will definitely lose the election if the trends continue. Moreover, he has had to admit and acknowledge publicly that he never presented any evidence to India, that he was just going on the basis of intelligence reports. He also tried to make the case out that he could have made our G20 presidency very uncomfortable, but he chose to cooperate with us and work behind the scenes. But how that is a complete contradiction, considering that he has already acknowledged that despite our repeated requests for being presented with evidence, he didn't give any evidence because he had no evidence. Moreover, what Mr. Bernier has said is very important, because he said that Nijjar's asylum was rejected several times, and under Canadian law he should have been deported, and that his citizenship should be revoked posthumously. I hope he does that when he becomes Canadian Prime Minister, because I'm sure that this Trudeau will not win. And finally, as an answer to your question of whether Trudeau will change course, I'm afraid Trudeau has, as we call it, crossed the Rubicon. There's no going back for him. He has crossed the Rubicon because he desperately needs the support of this fringe fundamentalist murderous group to help him to pass the budget in February. Otherwise, the government will fall. So he cannot change course now. He has to continue and press on. And in the process, if it results in the Indo-Canadian relations deteriorating even further, now with calls coming from this group that the Canadian government should take the initiative to shut down India's consulates in Toronto, Vancouver, etc., which would of course result in our shutting down their consulates. They have so many of them across India, we would shut them all down. So we would eventually reach a situation where there would be no diplomatic relations between India and Canada. If this is what Trudeau wants, so be it. I don't see him changing course, Megha. He is too far into it. He's up to his neck. He can only drown or try to hang on to a straw. In my opinion, he'll drown in any case. With support or without support, he's not going to win the Canadian election. Megha.
I also have with me Rubinder Sachdev, and let's hear it from you with regards to this entire controversy that has once again been raised, because Trudeau in his testimony says that there was no concrete evidence with the Canadian government or the CSIS, the intelligence wing. And in fact, there were intelligence reports, and that has continued to be the question that India asks, that you have not provided us any concrete evidence on the basis of which we will then act.
Thank you, Megha. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty strange, like talking that we have intel, but we don't have evidence. I mean, for a common, person, I think, where's the gap between intelligence and evidence? One would assume, there is something, right? But it seems they have nothing then. Stepping back, my thesis is that Trudeau took a conscious decision on September the 18th of last year to level a charge against India. They had some intelligence, let's say some vague intelligence. He amplified that, made it into a big bogey, and from the floor of the parliament laid that charge on India of being involved in Nijjar's assassination or killing. My thesis is that he did that in order to deflect attention from his problems with regards to what I call as China Gate. That is, China had influenced elections in Canada in the year 2019 and 21. The Canadian intelligence knew about it. They did not apparently take any whatever corrective measures. There was some inquiry ongoing, but it remained wrapped up. The scandal came out in the open, I think in 23, yes, in 23 March or May by Globe and Mail newspaper, became a huge controversy. And it turned into that Trudeau is a weak leader. He was sleeping on the job. That could be the best which could be said about the Chinese interference, or was complicit because his party gained. So the image that he was having in Canada September last year, around that time, this China Gate was a very, very, hot, one could say, heated scandal. In order to divert attention from his weakness in handling China, okay, which was showing him to be a weak leader, he thought, why not, distract the public and raise the bogey of this India threat to a next larger level. Yes, it seems they had some information. They're saying they have intelligence, but those intelligence could have been exchanged and minor matters sorted out or clarified between the governments.
Right.
So in a way, I mean, if one could say he made a mole of, what's the saying, a mountain
Mole out of
hill.
a mountain hill.
Mole out of a mountain hill, right. But it served his purpose because he wanted to distract from the China Gate scandals. And why did he make this statement on the floor of the parliament on 18 September? The Canadian police could have made a statement. Trudeau could have held a press conference, but why on the floor of the parliament? The reason he did that was the charge again regards China Gate was that he did not take the parliament into confidence. He was hiding something with respect to the China interferences. So now here he comes to the parliament and says to the parliament, look here guys, I'm an absolute transparent. I take you all along in complete faith. This is the threat that we are facing of a foreign government influencing our democracy. And that is what I'm going to be doing. So in a sense, it's a distraction from the China Gate and his failings as a leader and being complicit, if not even complicit, but sleeping on the job, incompetent, whatever we may say. So he did, or he amplified, created this bogey with regards to India. I think it's not even vote bank politics. What I'm trying to say is, it could be. It definitely, vote bank politics helps, right? But the primary trigger for him, vote bank politics was secondary, I would say. Primary was for him to create an image of himself as a strong leader looking out for his country's interests.
Okay. Major General Kochar, this commission that has been set up of foreign interference is primarily to probe the alleged role of China and its diplomats in interfering in the election process of the Canadian Parliament. Now, there have been a number of CSIS officials who in their testimony have revealed, have conceded that there was Pakistani involvement and Pakistani influence in the elections, in the domestic elections. And there have also been instances that have been quoted by the CSIS officials that there were Chinese diplomats who were up to no good and trying to influence the elections. Justin Trudeau himself has defended this stance, going about saying that this is exactly what the Chinese diplomats do. Now, here it is, Justin Trudeau trying to protect the Pakistanis and the Chinese at the cost of diplomatic ties between India and Canada. Now, how fruitful is this going to be for the Liberal Party in the future?
Because there are very strong connections, Pakistani connections in Canada. And we often see that Canada has become a place where terrorists can be easily hidden. They take refuge in this country because here the laws are extremely friendly and the legal process is fairly not as complicated as in other countries as far as these kind of elements are concerned. Because if you do a crime in some other country and you come to Canada, those laws do not subscribe to your cognizance of a crime in some other country. So here the problem is for the last 40 years. You see, Trudeau has been ruling for almost 10 years now, but this problem of Khalistan has been existing in Canada for the last 40 years. And if we trace out this history of this, the last 10 years have been the worst. And why I say the worst is that whenever India has given any intelligence to Canada to prosecute anyone, Trudeau has never taken any action. So it clearly shows a partisan approach on part of Trudeau that whenever we give him any intelligence, he is not taking any action, and now he is trying to tell the Indian government that I gave you information but you never took any action. But the matter of fact is that Canada never gave any actionable intelligence to the Indians for the Indian government to take any action on that. Second is, there is no evidence. It has actually come out, and it's a most shocking revelation which Trudeau himself has made a couple of days back, that he has reacted or he has acted on the basis of intelligence. He has no credible evidence to levy any kind of allegation against the Indian government. The third important aspect is that this guy, Hardeep Singh, who is a member of parliament and who is, he was part of the coalition with Trudeau. Recently, he has withdrawn his support. In all certainty, the Trudeau government is going to fall without his support. So it becomes extremely crucial for Trudeau now to toe the Khalistan line, to toe the Khalistan sentiment. And mind you, Megha, there are approximately 2.1% seats in Canada today. This figure in 2001 was only 0.9%. So you have seen how the immigration policy, you see, I am linking the immigration policy with the liberals, because liberals have been promoting this immigration policy to further their vote bank, and that is why in the last 10 to 15 years we have seen a spurt of people migrating to Canada, and especially from India we have seen it happening, and they are taking shelter. And lastly, the Pakistan angle, I want to reiterate here, the Khalistan Tiger Force, all those people who are the leaders of the Khalistan Tiger Force are in cohorts with the ISI today. There is credible intelligence with our NIA today that these people were earlier found in Pakistan, and when the unknown man or the unknown killings were taking place, these people have run away to Canada now and have got 100% shelter and support here.
Okay.
So, there is a credible evidence to link Pakistan's ISI activity with Canada, and I think this aspect needs further investigation.
Okay, all right. Gautam, talking about the dwindling popularity of Justin Trudeau within his own party. There have been open letters that have been written by a number of members of parliament from the Liberal Party demanding that there needs to be a change of guard, that they cannot have Justin Trudeau as the face of the Liberal Party when they fight the elections in 2025. In fact, the new Democratic Party leader, who is a self-confessed Khalistani backer, I'm talking about Jagmeet Singh, has decided to part ways with the Liberal Party. He goes about lambasting the Liberal Party and the Conservatives on both sides. So here he is planning in his own way how he is going to be fighting the elections, and who are these communities and citizens of Canada he would be pandering to, and how does this equation fit into Justin Trudeau's plan to win the election?
Well, he's very far down the ladder right now in terms of popularity. And as the ambassador pointed out, his more immediate requirement is to get the budget passed. I think Jasmeet has got him completely in a corner. And while at first, when Jasmeet withdrew the support of his party, it appeared as if Trudeau was making a clean break with the Khalistani supporters. He has now capitulated once again and is, desperate for their backing. I think he's living day to day on borrowed time, and the chances of him succeeding are receding by the day. People in his own party are very annoyed because they can clearly see that the Liberal Party will be voted out of power. That means all of them. They will lose power. So they have to do, or want to do, something about Justin Trudeau. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some kind of vote of confidence, which, he won one a little while back, but things have gotten worse. Will he win one now? Is there a secondary leader in the Liberal Party that is capable of taking his place? I'm not aware. But meanwhile, the Conservatives are doing very well.
Okay.
The Conservatives are in attacking mode. The chances of him winning as the leader and with the Liberal Party are slim come October. So things are quite desperate. As far as India is concerned, it is a matter of riding this out. If he escalates and throws out our embassies, we'll throw out his. So it's a tit for tat arrangement that we are following.
But should at this point, should we be taking the onus and the first step that we are going to not just expel the diplomats, but sever all diplomatic ties? Why should at this point of time we be awaiting a response from the Trudeau government to then take an equal and parallel and equal and as strong an action?
Well, I think that would be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We've got nothing against the Canadian people. We've got nothing against the Conservative Party. We have this one loose cannon that is making a lot of bad blood. Surely we have already adopted the policy of tit for tat. They've expelled some diplomats. We've expelled some diplomats, including the acting High Commissioner in India. Next is, if they want to do anything more, we will do likewise to mirror. But there was also reports that, the Canadian investment in the Indian stock market runs into many billions. They are not looking to move out. The two-way trade is nearly at $30 billion. Again, nobody who's involved in this is really looking to wreck it. The students that are going there are getting a bit fed up. The ones who are already there are trapped, but new ones are looking at greener pastures.
Okay.
So, all we have to do is wait till October 25. or perhaps earlier, to see the back of Trudeau. If Trudeau himself, as the leader of the party and Prime Minister, falls, then the next guy in the Liberal Party who is promoted in his place may not continue with these policies, because it's a surefire recipe for disaster come the elections. The other thing is the investigation that he's going through right now with regard to the Chinese. They may turn up facts which are unsavory for Trudeau, because he may well have colluded with the Chinese and continues to do so. There is a large Chinese diaspora in Canada as well. So how much of this is going to sink his boat, in addition to his bizarre behavior with India, is something that we will see in unfolding in coming days.
Okay, all right. Coming back to you, Ambassador Mukherjee, and there has been a parallel development that has taken place in the last 24 hours, where the US Department of Justice has spoken out and said that India has cooperated in zeroing down and removing this official from the Indian government who was allegedly involved in an attempted assassination of Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. Meanwhile, parallelly, the Five Eyes countries have also said that they are concerned that India has not cooperated with Canada, and our only argument stays is that there is no hard evidence that has been provided by Canada. What is the message that US gives out when it makes that statement, when the US State Department spokesperson speaks about this, or the US Department of Justice then goes about releasing the picture and the name of this Indian official who has at this point of time been removed by the Indian government?
First of all, Megha, there are mixed messages which are coming from the State Department. The State Department at the highest level talks about the very important strategic partnership with India. The State Department at its middle and lower level, on the other hand, gives full support to Trudeau and makes statements which are frankly antithetical to American interests in India. Secondly, as far as the Five Eyes are concerned, Megha, I think it's important for these Five Eyes, which are, I presume, all blue and white eyes, to understand that we are no longer a colonized country. We don't take lectures from white people anymore. We go by our core national interests. We have already reiterated our stand that no evidence was given. I'd like to tell Gautam, when he said that they expelled and we expelled, that they did not expel. We withdrew the 5 officers, including the High Commissioner, when we were informed that they wanted to investigate him for alleged involvement in an assassination plot. That is completely against all diplomatic norms, and we withdrew him immediately. And when we told the 5 Canadians to leave, they came back and said that they had already asked us to, but by that time they had already taken back our officers.
Yeah.
But the point here is, to answer your question, is that right now United States is in a state of flux. That will end only on 6th of November, when we know who has won the presidential election, and in January, when the new American president will be sworn in. Until that happens, there will be all kinds of mixed signals coming. I agree with Gautam that we should ride it out, but I would add to what Gautam said, that if it goes beyond the point, then I'm afraid we would have to come to a situation where, short of breaking ties, we would have to do everything else. Because every single day, we come up with some new outrageous allegation against India, and if we don't hit back strongly, it would give the erroneous impression that India, as an emerged country, as a very important country, is still taking orders from white countries who are making allegations which are not based on evidence.
Right.
On what basis, Megha, do these people imagine that there are 2 sets of international law, one which applies to the white so-called important countries, many of whose GDP is half of ours, like UK, and the other which applies to the poor ex-colonial countries whom we are supposed to be second-class citizens in every global organization. I think the time has come for us to make it clear that we are not a banana republic. And we strongly resent, as the people of India, we strongly resent and reject such insinuation and this attempt to damage our image globally. It's coming from a deep state conspiracy which we have to be aware of as a people and fight unitedly regardless of our internal political differences on domestic issues. We have to fight this unitedly as the people of India. Maybe.
Okay. All right. I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. And on that note, I slip into a short break. And thanks for watching NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.